Day 5 of the Dakar. Welcome to Africa. Good day for Finland's Kari Tiernen. He's going very well indeed. Even the colour of the stages looks the same as on the Thousand Lakes, whilst Jean-Louis Schlesser, he was not having a good day at the office at all. Okay, quick look back at what happened yesterday during the 6-kilometre stage on the outskirts of Madrid. It was mud, glorious mud, and as you can see how bad it was, just great sods of the stuff, like clay, sticking to the wheels, and even Fabrizio Mioni saying rude words after the stage, but it was all in jest.
5-5 inside.
The Honda Fireblade-powered quad managed to get through, but only after some problems he suffered at the beginning of the stage when he couldn't get his quad started. And also for the Italian crew of what was the fastest truck through the stage at Chateau Las Tours from the day before, they had a blown turbo. Corrado Patano and his co-driver here, Guido Toni, in their Mercedes, of course, Unimog, the friend of many a farmer the world over, stuck on the side of the road between Madrid on the way down south to the port at Algeciras. There's the blown turbo on the side of the road, and Guido saying thank you very much indeed to a fellow Italian crew who offered their services on the side of the motorway. Crawling underneath the wheel arch was Guido, and of course with half an eye on the clock, half an eye on the time at which the ferry would leave. And by the way, the last 15 people who got to Algeciras yesterday, they did not catch one ferry, they had to go on another one at 1:30 in the morning, so you certainly didn't want to be the last one down into the bottom of Spain. It all got fixed though. A little bit of champagne indeed. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. The stage from Rabat into Ereshkigal. A short road section before the 80-kilometre stage, and then 444 kilometres drive to the bivouac further south at Ereshkigal on the southern eastern edge of Morocco. The stage was actually lengthened by another 5 kilometres late last night to avoid a river which was in danger of bursting its banks. Better safe than sorry. So then, crossing the Straits of Gibraltar last night were all of the motorcycle riders. Some of them very, very tired indeed after that monstrous ride down from Madrid to right on the southern tip of Spain. Many of them catching up on very welcome bits of sleep indeed. Alfie Cox having a joke with Luc Alfond. And then the big doors opened and Richard Sankt, just as last year was one of the first riders off the boat and onto terra firma in another continent. And then come daybreak this morning, the motorcycles were on the stage.
Heute Morgen war es ganz witzig, da kam...
This is Andrea Meyer. She's saying, well, Happy New Year from PG was not quite what I wanted. He said he was not going to kiss me to celebrate as much because I beat him by a couple of places yesterday, so all a bit of fun.
Kann sich in Schweden nicht mehr sehen lassen. Heute hat mich überholt. Ich denke mal, morgen für den Geburtstag wird es schon ein Küsschen geben.
Onto the stage, and it was Carlo Dugavado, the Chilean KTM Works Repsol rider, who was quickest through the stage. Did a time of 42 minutes and 38 seconds by the time he got to the final time control. And in fact, even then, when he had been through the time control, he saw a couple of baboons and a couple of monkeys on the side of the road, and he turned back, much to the curiosity of Alfie Cox. Apparently, De Gavado has never seen a baboon before, and he wanted to go back and check. Kari Tiernan, though, he's finished the day still leading the Dakar overall. Although the Finn finished 4th on the stage, he now leads the Dakar by 14 seconds. And he was actually quite glad that Nani Roma had been through the stage first on the road by the virtue of Roma winning the stage at Madrid yesterday. Although Tiernan did have a bit of a fright when he saw a bull on the stage. He might have got away with hitting the odd chicken, but hitting a bull, and I think the bull would win. Hoja Jutta Voita, as they would say in Finland. Happy New Year for Kari Tiernan. Alfie Cox, he is second after today on the Dakar 2002, and second to, of course, Tiernan by those 14 seconds. Said it was a great stage, lots of sand, lots of trees to give an impression of speed when he was really cracking on through the trees, and he said that it was very similar to the stages back home in Swaziland and indeed Botswana. And of course a totally different stage to the mileage that we did to Erishidia last year, when people were having punctures and destroying rims all of the time. Had a lot of fun really sliding the bike around, and he really was grinning ear to ear like a Cheshire cat once he got to the bivouac here at Erishidia this evening. This is the last few 100 yards on the stage from our Wescam, and we can see Arcarons in all sorts of trouble. Maybe he thought he could cut the corner there, but thinking the better of it on his Repsol YPF KTM, sliding the rear end round, Cox following him, getting on to a bit of tarmac, and then of course managing to get all of the power down and lifting the front as he came into the last 300 metres, past the sign on the right-hand side, and then just in time to get his time card stamped. On to Nani Roma, the winner in Madrid yesterday. He's third overall, but only 15 seconds back of Kari Tiernan, so it's very, very close at the top of the Dakar 2002 after day 5. 3 riders within 15 seconds after we have had an hour and 23 minutes worth of running, so it's still very, very close. On the stage, Nani Roma was 5th quickest, some 3 minutes and 17 seconds back of De Gavado. Now remember that Roma was opening the stage first on the road, and of course it was a little dangerous. He had to give the warning to the animals that were wandering all over the stage, and of course by the time the other riders came through, the animals had dissipated away from the stage itself. On to Cyril Desprez, the Frenchman, 4th overall now after the 5th day, 1 minute and 11 seconds back of Tiernan. Had a lot of fun, he said, on the stage. He said it was like surfing, getting the rear end of the bike really sideways. And even though he may have lost a little time, he reckons that it'll be about right to start tomorrow 10th, because he finished 10th on the stage today. Good way to start the year for Desprez. Another Frenchman passing the prickly pears on the side of the road was French hero Richard Sanct. Overall, he was 6th, so in tune with his number. Sanct mindful that tomorrow is a very important day, and hopefully it is going to be windy tomorrow so that he won't get caught up in anybody's dust. Not a good day for Mioni. Okay, he didn't have any animals in his way, but he had a fuel pickup problem. It was not really firing on the throttle. Similar problem, of course, happened to the KTM single cylinder a couple of years ago. On to Esteve, the Repsol number 4 rider. 8th position for him overall. 2 minutes back of the leader Tiernan, and only 9 seconds back of Mioni. Listen to that twin. As Sala comes past, Sala now 9th overall. Here is Jordi Arcarons, finished 2nd on last year's Dakar, 10th overall after the stage. That is the stage. De Gavado winning from Cox, from Mioni, from Tiernan, and from Nani Roma. And overall, Tiernan 14 ahead of Cox and 15 ahead of Roma. Very close, as I said, at the top three there, Depre and De Gavado.
Bueno, la etapa fue muy rápida.
This is Carlo De Gavado saying a very, very quick stage. It was difficult because of the sand sometimes and also the mud. The stage, you had a lot of different choices to choose, lots of little options to choose, but fortunately there was no dust. It was good. I overtook some other riders and it was just as well that there was no dust.
Y yo me imaginé que aquí iba a haber polvo y me iba a perjudicar, pero me ayudó un poco y anduve muy fuerte también porque
you had to look at the GPS and the road book, but
te sientes bien arriba de la moto y
it's going to be more difficult to concentrate on the riding.
80 kilometers today, very short stage and exactly like I have at home in the forest with a bit of sand, but you know, it's tomorrow is the long stage and maybe it was not so clever today to come first because tomorrow I start first and I have to make the navigation and everybody will probably catch me up. It's a 300 or 400 kilometer stage, so maybe it was tactics from the other riders, but I had a good race today and I'm happy.
Oggi ho avuto un problema con la moto.
Fabrizio Mioni saying, today I had a small problem with my bike. Sometimes the fuel didn't seem to get into the cylinders and of course the engine then cut. I had to wait a couple of minutes in the stage because of that. This problem is surely not very important because after that the bike seemed to be okay, but we still need to find a solution for the problem.
Poi in futuro si può ancora ripetere il problema.
Arrival in Morocco, not only for the motorcycles, but of course, the reigning Dakar champion, Jutta Kleinschmidt, in her Mitsubishi Pajero, leading the cruise off the ferry and onto another continent. And even the Guardia Civil sponsored Mitsubishi had to oblige by the letter of the law. And of course, the different continents and a totally different landscape. Not so much vegetation now, and indeed not so much vegetation for about another 10, 11 or 12 days on the Dakar. And as the countdown started at the beginning of the first stage in Africa, it was a question of concentration on this New Year's Day.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Shana Tova.
Gutes neues Jahr.
Bonne année alors à tous. Hein.
Johnny Halliday and René Metsch in the Dakar with their Nissan, the French pop star and hero doing well in the Dakar. However, onto the stage, and it was Hiroshi Matsuoka in the Works Mitsubishi Pajero. Shot through the stage, happy now that he is understanding the car, about 90% of it. He reckons he will get the remaining 10% by the time he gets to Tantan. And of course, it'll be a chance for us from our Wescam to see the new roof-mounted cooling vent to aid the cooling in this brand new Rally Raid spec Mitsubishi. Fiberglass doors, fiberglass rear door, a lot of weight being saved. Matsuoka, the winner of the stage, and overall, he is second overall. Gregor de Mavius from Belgium, he was second on the stage to Matsuoka, but overall, he's leading the Dakar. Here is Jutta Kleinschmidt, and there you see that radiator at the top, just in front of, just behind the number plate. Jutta was third on the stage today, and overall, she is fourth after stage 5 of the Dakar, and she's fourth overall by some 1 minute and 17 seconds. Hero of German motorsport, indeed she is. Here's Stefan Perehansel passing a lot of the other drivers. Peter Hansel didn't have so much of a good day yesterday in Madrid. He found that his tyres were not knobbly enough to reach through the mud and get a bit of traction. And the multiple motorbike winner of the Dakar in the similar Nissan to that of Damavius. Peter Hansel third overall after today's stage, only a minute 6 back of his teammate Damavius. Those Nissans going very, very well. They're going to have to keep an eye on them. Here is Kenjiro Shinazuka. Shinazuka, 5th on the stage. Only a minute and 27 back of his teammate Hiroshi Mashioka. And Shino, 5th overall. What about Jean-Louis Schlesser, hero or villain? Call him what you will. In the two-wheel drive, 2-litre turbocharged diesel buggy. Of course, he was way down the order after yesterday's stage, way into the 70s or 80s, and he had to pass a lot of people through the stage. And pointing out here to his co-driver Henry Mann, he had a problem, he had a turbocharger problem, and it has meant that one of the 3 Schlesser buggies in the shape of Belgian Stefan Orad has actually retired, the first big name retirement out of the Dakar 02. Fontenay finished 7th on the stage. Jose Maria Servia finished 8th on the stage. And Saeed Al Hajri starting from essentially position number 41 in the car section. Overall, Al Hajri up to 10th overall with his British co-driver Matthew Stevenson. Al Hajri having a very good run. Carlos Souza, he is 7th overall, and he had to also pass many, many cars on the 50-mile stage today. Other people further down the order sped through the stage whilst the locals enjoyed the action. The Seat Diesel Turbo Cordoba had a good day, of course, not only at La Souterraine, but also at Madrid yesterday. And overall, Fernando Gil is placed in 8th position overall. He's some 4 minutes 53 seconds back. Bruno Sarbi in his Ford Pro Truck. Overall, he's in 28th position. Rear-wheel drive machine, an immense amount of suspension travel, of course. However, not a good day, unfortunately, for Stephen Stamp and Roger Jenkins in their brand new V8 petrol-powered Bowler hybrid Land Rover with registration D4KAR. They unfortunately rolled it. What a run.
I just got caught on one of the bumps at the early part of the stage and just threw the car to the left and pitched on the nose. And that was it. It rolled a couple of times, landed on its wheels, which is fine. So we just changed a couple of tyres which had blown out, and then we carried on and finished the stage. Seemed to be okay. It seems quite straight. I think it's mostly cosmetic, so we're going to see what we can do to tidy it up, and then we'll carry on. It's a long way to go yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were big afraid during the accident? Or?
No time to be afraid.
David Jenkins explaining that it didn't have much time, but he did get through the stage to get to the finish. That was the stage. Mashioka from Gregoire Damavius, Kleinschmidt, Peter Hansel, and Shinazuka a minute and 27 back of his female teammate. But overall, Damavius continues to lead from Mashioka, Peter Hansel, Kleinschmidt, and Shinazuka.
Yes, today, so in the first Africa stage is very short and very twisty, and so we this morning 14th start, so but very lucky in wet is no dust, so very easy to overtake, so I think good time today.
C'était bien, c'était un peu mou, c'était...
Gregoire Damavius saying that the ground and the whole stage was really quite soft because of the recent rain. It was a little muddy and we couldn't really go very, very fast, but we did overtake quite a few other cars and they were all very kind to us, letting us through, so I suppose overall we didn't lose too much time. Demavius second on the stage today. Jutta Kleinschmidt here saying we started in 72nd position on the road and we had to overtake obviously many cars. And happily, because of the wet stage, we didn't have too much dust to impede our view. And for tomorrow? Tomorrow we'll see once we get into the sand for the first time, and we'll see if we can use it to our advantage, but otherwise no problem for us. Frenchman Eric Vigarou is doing the Dakar once more this year. Here we see him at his refrigeration business, Pro System, in France. A big, well laid out, successful business, and he's also got there the quad on which he competed in the 2000 Dakar when they went to Cairo. This year, however, he's in a Chevy Pro Truck, and he says that in terms of driving, there really are similarities between the quad and the Pro Truck. You really have to throw them around to get the best out of them. Also, of course, the Pro Truck has no windscreen, so it's quite a bit of fun, and that's one of the reasons that I like to drive it. Here we see Vigarou testing in France in the early evening in December before the Dakar got underway from Arras in the north of France. And the Chevy Pro Truck, as opposed to the Ford Ranger Pro Truck, which, for example, Bruno Sabi is using. The Chevy here having been prepared by Jean-Louis Raimondi. Baja-based machines really now getting to grips on the Dakar.
C'est toujours aussi excitant, c'est extraordinaire.
He says it's always exciting once you get back in the driving seat. A couple of laps and not only is the engine warm, but I'm back in the rhythm too. It's only a small circuit here of 1.5 kilometers, but as I can try and imagine and get a feeling as for what the car will feel like once I am on the Dakar.
Des virages serrés, c'est vraiment sympa.
Very good. He's got a couple of children and start them young, as we say back home in the UK. I don't know quite about this young, but eventually, of course, it's Arras, Madrid, next stop, Dakar.
Eh oui. Ouais, gagné. On commence?
On to the trucks then. On the stage today, it was the first win of 2002 in the trucks for Johannes de Rooij and his son Gerardus and Ivo Goossens. They're, of course, in their DAF de Rooij special. Second on the stage today was Vladimir Chigin in the lone Kamaz. Third on the stage was André de Azevedo from Brazil with his two Czech co-drivers. Johan Peter Reif, seen here in the silver and orange KTM MAN. He was fourth on the stage, whilst Carol Laprace in his Tatra was fifth. That means that overall, Chigin leads overall from de Rooij, who is second, de Azevedo, who is third, Johan Peter Reif, who is fourth, and Carol Laprace, who is fifth. A mere 4 minutes and 9 seconds covering the top five in the truck section of the Dakar, after, of course, what has been only the second competitive stage for them, after they did not go through the 6 kilometers at La Souterraine and also the muddy 6 kilometers at Madrid yesterday. Tomorrow, the stage takes us from Ereshkigal to Orzazast, and after a short road section, we've got a 338-kilometre stage before we get into the sandy and deserted areas towards the south. 4 different types of ground will be covered, from sand to stones, gravel to vegetation. and a bit of scrubland as well. And in particular, the Chebi Erg will be crossed in Merzouga, the highest dune in Morocco. Join us for more tomorrow.